I don't know about you guys, but been very lost on the whole metaverse concept for quite some time. And I've looked it up a few times, but I've never been able to get like a solid meaning of what metaverse is. I don't know if everyone else already knows what the metaverse is and what it's building up to be, but I don't think I've seen anyone like actively talk about it. Everyone knows about the products and things that Apple's pushing out when it comes to, or rather, Meta or Facebook is pushing out when it comes to the metaverse. But I don't think I've seen anybody blatantly talk about what the metaverse is or have a decent grasp on what it is as a concept. So this video is going to be my attempt to illustrate what the metaverse is and maybe what we can look forward to in the future when it comes to Meta or Facebook building it up over time. So a quick recap when it comes to the concept of networking. Networking, again, same with people. Computer networking is about having different computer devices, anything that can connect to the internet, and it's about how those devices communicate and share information with one another. Well, a lot of people don't know, and again, if you're someone that's trying to get into IT or just tech overall, more on the technical side of things, then you do need to understand something called routing, which basically when you send a message or any data over the internet, it doesn't just instantly show up at its destination. There actually are routes, different paths that the data can take to reach its destination. It just happens so fast where if I send a text message now, it's going to immediately ding, with my family that's probably like on the East Coast or something. And so we don't think about it. But whenever we send those text messages, emails, and stuff like that, it doesn't just kind of like leap over there. It has to take certain pathways to get where it's trying to go, right? That's the concept of routing. And the environment that this whole process happens within is known as cyberspace. Now, this concept might be a little weird because we've seen movies on this, especially if you know about the Scooby-Doo movie back in the day, then you definitely are familiar with the concept of cyberspace, at least in a fictional way. I don't think the actual concept of cyberspace, even in relation to tech, has ever been brought up. So I'm going to do my best to try to paint this picture. So think of it like this. The whole point of the metaverse and where Facebook/Meta plans on taking this is they plan on creating an online like community or world that will allow people to directly connect in a bunch of different, I guess, applications or digital worlds, but they don't have to log in or sign in to each one. They can just instantly hopscotch from one to another. And this is meant to be functional because, again, we have many project teams and tech teams and different lines of work where I'm here in the States, but I may have a quote unquote teammate that's based in the UK or somewhere in Asia. And because we're in two different time zones, we're either not working at the same time, or if we are, it's most likely like I'm working in the daytime, we're doing a day shift, whereas my teammate that's in a different section of the world is working on their respective night shift. But the overall benefit is that's supposed to open another layer of collaboration because the metaverse is supposed to give people the opportunity to meet up in this digital world and collaborate for their work projects, for their personal projects. They can build games and other applications. They can do whatever they want just in cyberspace. So I'm gonna try to paint this picture again, but this time I'm gonna use SAO or short art online to hopefully paint this picture a bit clearer. So if you already know the premise of SAO, and yes, I understand that it's pretty much just the first season that everyone likes, but if you know the whole thing about SAO, you can also look at other anime similar to it like Shangri-La Frontier and stuff like that. But focusing on SAO, it's basically about a bunch of gamers, but technology's gotten to the point where VR is the main way, if not the only way to go when it comes to gaming. So you have the first season of the show that focused on probably Ironcrad. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. But the first VR game that the show takes place in for the first season that everyone loves is Ironcrad. Then after that, it went to, I believe, Gun Gale Online, which is a whole different game and a whole different world in itself. From there, it went to Alfheim Online, I believe. And then as of Alicization, it went into the Underworld, and that's a whole other thing in itself. Each of these different worlds are completely separated and isolated from one another. If you want to move from, let's say, Gun Gale Online back to Ironcrad, then you would have to wake up in the real world, take the game out, put in the other one for Aincrad, and then go back to sleep in the VR world, and you can pick up from there. But you have that process in between of taking the game out, put the other one in, sign in, and this whole thing. The whole point of the metaverse is to have these different independent worlds that are isolated from each other and to allow them all to meet at a center point where you can hopscotch between the worlds directly and indirectly no matter how many times you want. It's pretty much that whole thing. You don't have to treat the worlds like they're isolated and completely separate from one another. They are all interconnected. To be honest, I think this is a growing and developing concept over time. So I think this is something I'm going to make a point to keep my eye on and see if the concept of the metaverse evolves over time. Because as of right now, the only thing that we know is that it's meant for collaboration, or collaboration is going to be one of its key like benefits and features to it. But again, it's meant to make it so that you essentially, it's kind of like Sims, honestly. It's, I guess, supposed to be Sims on steroids. The metaverse is kind of aiming to be like Sims, except much bigger and like all encapsulating. Like it's going to have everything. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point through the metaverse, there's going to be a concept of VR, AR dating and stuff like that. Because you can pretend like you're in the actual movie theater, but your partner's not there, or the person you're dating is not there, or maybe they are, but it's still VR. You don't have to go outside. I would not be surprised if this is like the type of thing that could happen at some point in the future. So yeah, that's actually an interesting thought. Yeah, I think this is something I'm going to keep an eye on over time to see where the metaverse ultimately ends up going, and just where the concept itself ultimately evolves to. Because right now, the metaverse, the term of it and what's meant to be, is still kind of up in the air. But I think hopefully I've painted a good picture of this, the basic concept of what this is supposed to look like and the idea behind it. But we'll see how Meta actually builds on this over time. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you have any suggestions for me, share those with me in the comment section below. If there's anything about the metaverse that I missed, or maybe I should pay more attention to, share that with me as well. And yeah, if you have any comments, feedback, anything like that, share that with me in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.